Are we ready? No, I have my journal backwards and upside down. That's not super helpful. Okay. So, welcome back to Personal Development Series. This is video number 32. I'm just sitting here in my robe because I was getting ready and it's super comfy. And so I just decided to stay in it for the video. So, why not? Thank you, Haley. This is a bridesmaid's gift. And I love this thing. I feel just like really glamorous when I'm wearing it. I don't know why, but okay, so today we are talking about another, I don't know if it's like a realization that I had, more of like a shift in perspective and like definitions that I had. So I might just kind of read this because I like wrote this whole thing of like 2 pages last night of like what happened and like my like change in perspective. So I might just kind of be reading this and like kind of be talking. So let's get started. I'm really excited about this. I'm like still really excited about this. So the first thing that I wrote is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I mean, yes, but like probably not right now. I was just so excited. I was like freaking out. So I was reading a blog post, which it's not something I don't like actually read a lot of blog posts, and I don't like click on a lot of links from Pinterest. Sorry. But I don't, and so I don't end up like finding a lot of blog posts or like new people, or this is like not, I don't know, that's something I really do at the moment. But one of them yesterday caught my attention and I clicked on it and I read it, and I don't know, I have this like, I guess to me it makes sense that there's this kind of like general guide in your life. Essentially, to me it's kind of more like the soul and like following your soul. um but I just felt like something that like that was like destined to be, or like divine thing, that I was gonna click on that blog post. That's like really big and not quite the way I see it, but anyways, it was just like I needed to read that. So the blog post, which I will link below, is called Important Steps to Take in Order to Change Your Life. So in just the introduction, not like part of the steps that she writes, which honestly I don't really remember the steps that she wrote down other than like changing your mindset, which makes sense. In the introduction, she has this sentence. It says, change is inevitable, but transformation is by a conscious, deliberate change. And my brain exploded from this, and I got really, really, really excited. So I am just kind of more gonna like read what I wrote down because I like don't have it all in my head anymore. So just to back up like a little bit, there are some times where I realize these like contradictory thoughts or like things that people say. So like that people change, but also that like people never change. And so when you think about that, it's like, what the heck? How does that make sense? Like, because you hear in relationships, or like, oh, we've just changed and we grew apart, like, and so then people split up. But then sometimes, you meet these people, or you're like, oh, I've been the same for like 30 years, or they're exactly the same as they were like 30 years ago. So it's like people don't really change, and they're kind of like essentially still the same people, and like they're doing the same things and they're living the same life their entire life. But then also like people change, and like both of those make sense, but they're conflicting. So my thought after reading this sentence is that change is unconscious. So it's a reaction. Change is just like reactive to your circumstances. So it's trauma responses, it's burying emotions, it's going further into your comfort zone and making it smaller, and just like living out of habit. It's not working towards goals, it's defense mechanisms. And so all of that is essentially like a reaction to your circumstances, which a lot of circumstances you create yourself from like your actions or lack of actions. But now the way that I see the word change and people changing is reactive. It's unconscious. It's just this kind of slow, gradual evolution, which not like on an evolutionary time scale, but like on your human lifetime scale. It's this slow change, or sometimes potentially like quick changes depending on events in your life. But it's unconscious. And so it's like automatic, or yeah, it creates automatic change, or it doesn't create change, right? Depending on the circumstances, like maybe nothing ever causes you or impacts you in a way that is going to cause you to change, and so you do end up staying exactly the same. So I've always kind of had this thought, I don't know, maybe not always, but in the back of my mind, that like change is inevitable. Like, oh, I'm eventually going to change. I'm eventually going to grow. So like, oh, if I like put this thought out there, or I like sometimes envision this, or I like kind of work towards these goals, like eventually I'll get there because change is inevitable. But what I'm creating in that case is these unconscious changes that are just reactions to the current circumstances that I live in, the current life that I live. That would not be deliberate transformation. Hence the word transformation. And when you look at the definitions, they don't necessarily like mean these things based on like actual definitions of the words, which I had looked up last night, and then like I didn't write them down, so now I don't have them. But it was transformation was like, to me it seemed more like external changes, and then change was like, actually like changing who you are. But I see them kind of backwards. So like the changing, people just changing is unconscious and automatic and reactive, but transformation is deliberate and it's conscious. It's making the choices to improve, it's dedication, it's continuing to do things when you don't want to, totally having that kind of morning, um, after all this, like, and that to me is like, that's transformation. Like, that's when you are in control and you're taking charge and you're going forward and you're taking big action, or you're taking those small actions every day. Like, it's all deliberate and consistent and conscious, and that to me is transformation. And so that is like kind of my new word at the moment. So I sent this, I kind of like freaked out, and I texted a few people, but like these thoughts that I had, because I was like super excited about it. And my dad responded, and his response was this: "Wow, okay, so what's next?" And I was like, "Oh, what is next?" I was like, "What does that mean? Like, how do I take this like shift in perspective and grasping onto the word transformation and being deliberate and conscious in what I do and the direction that I go? Like, what do I do with that?" Right? And so I started, like, immediately I was just like, big, huge, crazy visions, like all these things that I could do and these ways that I could change and this type of person I could become. And then I was like, this is super overwhelming. Oh my gosh. And if I start making, I was like, make a list. Okay. Which making a list can be great sometimes, but in this case it was not. Because if I'm just like making a list of all these things that I could do and all these things that I could become, like, first of all, I literally have no idea. Like, I have no idea who I can be. I have no idea what I can achieve. Like, yes, I absolutely have a vision for my life and work in that direction, but I have no idea what opportunities will present themselves, what way will come to meet me when I'm putting myself out there. Like, I just have no idea, like, what can actually happen, what I can actually do, and achieve. So, like, I can kind of have a vision, but I can't actually know. And so, having this, like, defined person or like set of achievements that I can do is like illogical, you know? Like, have a goal and go in that direction and dedicate yourself to it and work toward it, but be open to like what else can come your way, you know? So what else? I kind of like got ahead of where I was in my notes. Um Oh yeah, so I was already, honestly, in about like 5 seconds of like imagining all of these things and like seeing all these ways that I could transform, I immediately became overwhelmed and was like, starting to like shrink back down, which is like the opposite of what I'm going for in a transformation. So here comes my second word, because transformation is just really the second of my words right now. My first word right now is limitless. So about a week and a half ago, I was just journaling, and at the end of my journal, the last 3 words I wrote is I am limitless. And I kind of keep thinking that. And I came back to it a couple days later too, and I'm like, I am limitless. What I can create is limitless. What abilities I can like have or master. I use that kind of lightly, but like what abilities I have are limitless. Who I can become is limitless. Like what I'm capable of is limitless. I am limitless. So after I kind of like chilled the thought craziness that like got me overwhelmed in like this huge picture that I think was kind of more ego, I realized and kind of decided that I could add transformation into limitless. So what I sent back to my dad was kind of all that, but then adding transformation into my limitless sentence would look like I am transforming so that my limitless abilities can thrive, or I am transforming because I am limitless, right? Like I will constantly be transforming because I am limitless. So that's what I've got going on in my head right now. And this just happened last night. Like honestly last night. So this is like super new. I mean it's like 10 o'clock last night, right? It's been like 12 hours. The limitless thing's been like a week and a half, but the transformation is like 12 hours. Hi Edgar. You're moving my notes. Thank you. Yeah. So the last thing that I wrote last night, you moved everything, and I so appreciate that so much. Thank you. Ow. The last thing that I wrote last night is I am transforming, up leveling, making progress towards my full capabilities. I'm not at the whim of my defense mechanisms. So that was like my huge crazy change in perspective from change and unconscious to transformation and being deliberate and dedicated as well. And so now just the word transformation has like got me. And I totally used that last night when I was sitting and kind of meditating or just like being thankful for like another day, and having this realization. And then I used that this morning too, and like what I can do today and like continuing to transform so that my limitless abilities can thrive. I totally didn't plan an ending to this. I feel like I do that a lot. I'm like, talk. Okay, and then that's like the end of it. But that's been my change in perspective. That was what happened last night, why I'm super excited, even though today I was like really tired because I got 4 hours of sleep. I'm excited and I'm kind of like waking up and like, yeah, I got out of bed this morning, guys, like within like 10 minutes of my alarm, and I was active this morning. And last night after I had these realizations, I kept like bringing my focus back to my work, and I saw when I was starting to do like more intentional work and like something that was on my list of things to do yesterday, I wanted to distract myself, and after about 3 minutes I brought my attention back to my work, which is the 3 things that I'm working on: bringing my focus back to my work, being active, and getting up in the morning. And I've done all 3 of those things in the last like 12 hours. So I'm super excited. I don't know if it's necessarily this or just like, you know, continuing to work on it is like paying off, but it just all makes me really excited. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm still just blabbering on. I don't really have an ending. But yeah, I would suggest reading the blog post. Maybe you'll take something completely different away. She has like 5 different things about the change. What was the title of the blog post? Important steps to take in order to change your life. She has like 5 different things in there, and it was a really good blog post. I would recommend that. That will be linked below, so check that out. And I'm gonna stop, and I will see you guys next Friday. So bye.